Trump's immigration crackdown is very much underway, setting up a national showdown between the federal government and, of course, local officials. New Mexico's Attorney General Raúl Torrez is on the very front lines of that fight, and he joins me now. AG Torrez, thank you for joining me this evening. A lot is happening very quickly, and I know that you were watching. The DOJ is threatening to prosecute state and local officials who resist the immigration crackdown. Do you anticipate a confrontation legally with them, and will your office cooperate?
Well, first, let me say, as a federal prosecutor or a former federal prosecutor, it's a really sad day for me, and I think a stain on an institution that I proudly served for many years. I think a lot of people who have worked on the border are focused on the things that matter most, investigations involving human trafficking, cartels. And I, for one, and I think a lot of people agree that that's where the Trump administration should be focused. But instead, they've really ratcheted up the rhetoric and misused and distorted, and frankly tried to instill a sense of fear in local officials. And we're absolutely prepared to step up and defend and protect people who have every right to go about their business of try and make sure that our communities are made safe each and every day.
What does that say for those who are undocumented persons, the pursuit of them for deportation? I mean, ICE is telling people that the officials say they can now enter places of worship or schools to pursue those who are undocumented. What would that mean to communities in your state?
Well, we issued guidance today in the wake of the Trump administration's decision to stop recognizing sensitive locations, hospitals, schools, places of worship. We issued some guidance to people so that they would understand their rights, their responsibilities, and they would understand the limitations that immigration officers have. Fundamentally, we're worried about the impact that this is going to have on families, on children, and frankly, on law enforcement. We depend a lot on the cooperation of people in the immigrant community to help us solve crimes, to be witnesses in cases. And we are very worried that losing that cooperation is really going to endanger public safety.
That's a really important point, because there is sometimes a mechanism in the law to provide someone a pathway to citizenship if they are cooperative with criminal prosecutions. This would have a chilling effect on coming forward in a number of cases. But what if agents have a warrant or a subpoena? What are you advising those clergy and officials to do specifically? Ignore it or come to a governing body? What?
No, we've given them guidance about the limitations. As you know, federal officers are allowed to be in public spaces as are uniformed police officers acting in their capacity to investigate crimes. They're allowed to interact, obviously, with the public. But if they have a judicial warrant that's signed by a federal magistrate that gives them authorization to be lawfully present, they have to comply with that. And so we're not going to advise anybody to disregard, obviously, federal law. They have to comply with those warrant requirements, but we are trying to reinforce the limitations of the types of actions that people can engage in civil immigration enforcement. Fundamentally, though, I think the real issue is whether or not this government is actually making this country safer by targeting houses of worship, healthcare facilities, and courthouses where victims of crime come forward. I don't think that's what the American people want. I know it's a pretty radical departure from the past practice of the Department of Justice, and something I think is going to be a real stain on the reputation of the Department of Justice in years to come.
We shall see. Of course, they argue on the other side that these sensitive places are being exploited for the very purpose of evading effective law enforcement. All this is coming in very quickly. We'll see what happens next. Attorney General Raúl Torrez, thank you so much.
Thank you.